Hey everyone, welcome back to Land Investing Online, where we teach students how to profitably buy and sell vacant land for crazy profits. This is the simplest, least competitive, and most profitable sector of real estate. For more information, go back to landinvestingonline.com. We have a free Discord with tons of successful investors. I'm Daniel Apke. This is my brother and partner, Ron Apke. And today we have a great question to go over. It's how much mail should we be sending out? It is a topic where we consistently have people asking us this question, and it's a really big topic for new people. But before we get started and jump into that, let's go over one of our questions from one of our members. How do I know if my mailer failed? So for people who don't know what land investing is, we send out mail with prices on them to acquire our properties. So we send out a mail to someone who owns a piece of land for a certain percentage, usually 30 to 40% of what it's worth. And then they call us back and sell their property. So how do I know if all this mail I spent is wasted and failed? That's pretty much what they want to know. Ron, you want to dive into that?
Yeah, I think that's a really valid question, and I think it's something we see from our students. A lot of people are worried, like, I don't want to spend $1,000, 1,200 on mail and then not get any deals. Like, they want to do it to get the deals. As far as evaluating whether it's a failed mailer, sometimes you'll get deals, honestly, 12 months later. You might deem it a failed mailer after a month, but after 6 months, it's not a failed mailer because you got two deals or something 3 months after that. So I think it's something you really need to take a lot of time. And at the end of the day, what we preach is kind of getting a volume of mail out. It's not about one mailer, because one mailer, it can fail. I'm not saying it cannot happen. It can, and it does. But if you do it enough times over, it's going to pay for itself 10 times over. So I think that has to be your mindset. I think people struggle when they think about individual mailers. I really urge people to evaluate their success based on maybe 2 months of mail, opposed to 2,000 mailers or something like that, your first mailer. So that's my kind of thoughts on it, Dan.
Yeah, and we're going to go into this. It kind of goes with the topic we have today on how much mail I should be sending out. But the term failed mailer, I do believe failed mailer it's a thing. It's just really hard to evaluate because, like Ron said, it can take 6 months, 12 months for you to get a deal. We've gotten a deal from, 9 months ago, I believe, just someone digging up paper. So you never really know if it's failed. And you also don't know the reasons for why it failed. Is it you priced incorrectly? Is it you priced too low? Or is it just no one wanted to sell their land, or it's highly competitive in that area? So it's a really subjective term, failed mailer, but a lot of times those success come back later at some point. And you always learn from those mailers as well. It's not like failed mailers aren't giving you any results. Like if you price too low and you find out you price too low, you adjust and learn from that. So at the end, it's not really failed. But other than that, that's all I have to say on that topic. Let's get into the show. So how much mail should I be sending out? Like I said, if you're new here, we send out mail to acquire properties. This is our main way of our acquisition process. This is our pipeline. It's how we pay ourselves. It's what really keeps the business flowing. And Ron, do you want to go into that? How much mail should I be sending out?
Yeah, for sure. I think we have a lot of people who come into it and they say, I want to make $100,000 my first month. Well, great. You better send about 20,000 mailers or something like that. For most people, our new students, we suggest about 3,000 a month, 2,500 to 3,000 in about two mailers. So every 2 weeks, send 1,500, 12 to 1,500 mailers. And that's going to hopefully get you a deal a month. Obviously, every month is not going to be the same.
Right.
The biggest thing we urge with our members, new and old, is consistency, because that creates deal consistency. So if you're sending 3,000 mailers, I think you're going to get maybe 10 to 15 calls. Do you think that's low, Dan?
Of how many?
3,000, maybe 20 calls. I think 10 or 15 might be a little low, but you're probably going to get 20 calls. You might get 5 people who are interested in selling, and then you might get 2 deals that really look good to you. the more mail you send, obviously, the more deals you are going to have, which means the more calls, and it's going to be a lot of work. Daniel and I started when we first started doing, and what we do right now, we have a whole team in place to take on the volume. When we're sending 20,000 mailers a month, it's not just me and Daniel answering the phones. We have an answering service. We have a salesperson. We have a transaction coordinator. We're hiring another salesperson. So it's a team of people who are doing this. If you cannot just go in and say, I want to send 20,000 mailers because I want to make X dollars. You need systems in place, or you're going to lose a lot of deals through the cracks because your systems aren't prepared.
Exactly. There's a balance to it. So you can't just jump in and send 20,000 mailers. Things are going to hit you. You're going to lose deals. You're not going to know what's going on. You really have to build up. It's a balance. You scale up as your operations kind of scale up with it, and your employees and processes put in place. So I would highly advise against just sending out 30,000 mailers your first month if you're not prepared for it. But there's also people who send out usually people send out far too little mail because it costs money and they're a little nervous of the business model maybe, or they haven't seen the process play out yet. But yeah, once you scale up, I mean, the bottom line of what we like to see our members sending is probably 3,000 to 5,000 a month. I really like the $5,000 or 5,000 mailer number to start. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's good. I was going to ask you something, Dan. So what if someone comes in, like I have $50,000 saved. I believe in this land business, and we have people like this. I believe in this land business. I recently lost my job, or I quit my job, and I want to go full. I want to be an entrepreneur. What would you tell them as far as jumping in by themselves without systems? Maybe they're using Excel, which is fine at first. What would be kind of your advice for them, Dan?
And assuming they have the time to handle it.
Yeah, they're full-time. They want to go full-time land, like they believe in this. Yeah.
I would say 10,000 your first month, eight to 12. I'd say split it between as many mailers as possible with a minimum of 1,500, I'd say, just so you can test different markets and diversify a little bit. I'd probably also tell them to start in a few different states if they can to test it out. I would love to see, 3 to 5 different locations in that 8 to 12,000 mailer range. I think you're going to get deals back if you price accordingly. You're definitely going to get deals back 100%. I think if someone jumps in like that and diversifies in multiple areas and does their homework, I think that would really have a great return on investment. I don't think that $50,000 matters to me at first. Like, I wouldn't say go spend or go send 25,000 mailers with your $50,000 right away. I'd still say 8 to 12 your first month. And that's a lot. Like, you're going to have things hit. It's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be doable. Like, you'll be able to manage 8 to 12,000 your first month if you're full-time, I believe. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that I was kind of saying that 50,000 because I mean that can get them through mail maybe for the first 6 months. Obviously, they're going to have money coming in. I mean, it sounds crazy, but like doing what Daniel said, 8 to 12,000 mailers, you're going to easily profit 10,000 a month if you're doing anything correctly, anything the way we teach. And it profit, that's after mail costs and after data costs and all of that, you will easily profit $10,000 and you'll make 100 grand a year, 6 figures. So I agree with Daniel as far as that. I wouldn't go above 12. I think 12 is pushing it. I would probably say 8 to 10 maybe, because you're going to learn so much. If you send 12,000 your first month, and maybe as you're sending those last couple, you might not have any mail that hit yet. So as that mail hits, you're going to be learning things and kind of adjusting your process. Maybe you send 3,000 a week, so maybe that does work out. But I just be really careful doing too much at first before you can really learn and adjust, which you're going to do this entire business. You're not going to ever do stuff the exact same way. But I like that number a lot as far as 8 to 10,000.
Yeah, the 12, you're right, might be too much. If you stagger it, I mean, on week 1, 3,000, week 2, 3,000, week 4, or 3,000, 4, it's not going to all hit at once. So it would help, but I agree. 12 may be too much.
So what about that low end, Dan? Like, that's what you kind of think, 3 to 5? You like 5? I think 3 is kind of, 3 is like 1,500 every 2 weeks. Like I think if you're doing 3,000 mailers, which you'll get deals, like I said at the beginning, yeah. I think that's, you have more than a 9 to 5 job. 9 to 5 job, you can send 5,000 mailers. I think if you have more than 9 to 5, maybe you have a traveling sales job that maybe you are working 60 hours a week, you can still do this. Probably 3,000 to 4,000 mailers might be your top limit, and then building from there once your systems are a little more in place.
There's just going to be so many delays sending 3,000. It's just the process is going to be much slower. You will get deals back. It's a good way to get in the game. If you have the money and you believe in the process and you're following what we do, I really like that 5,000. I think you're going to get the 3 to 5. I mean, that's a big jump right there. That's 2,000. I don't know the percentage of increase, but that's a lot. 2,000 extra a month.
And you
I
think
really like that 5,000 a lot. But if you don't have time, you're crunched and you're skeptical, or for whatever reason, try with 3,000. You're going to get a deal back if you follow our program and our course and you're in the Discord communicating. I think those things are key. But like Ron said, one thing I would really want to touch on again is the consistency, right? It's not about sending 10,000 mailers now or 5,000 mailers now. It's about sending 5,000 mailers now. And then in 3 weeks or whenever you have it scheduled, sending 5,000 again and being consistent. Just because you haven't seen results from that first 5,000 doesn't mean you wait. Mm-hmm. Consistency is the name of this game. It really drives everything. A stoppage in mail means a stoppage in income. So it's delayed income, obviously, because we don't get paid till when we sell the property, but those delays are going to be there if you just stop getting out your mail. You got to get it on a schedule. That's the most important thing in this business model, I think.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I would suggest if you're doing that 5,000, try to get 1,200, 1,500 out a week. I don't like sending 2 times a month. I don't think it's enough. I like sending weekly. Obviously, if you're getting under 1,000 mailers, probably not weekly. You don't want to do 500 a week or something like that. But if you're trying to send 3,000 to 5,000, try to send 1,000 every week, 1,100 every week, something like that. It's going to really build your business faster. Maybe you're not going to get a deal from every single mailer, but you're going to get a deal or 2 every month, and it's going to build up to that next month.
Yeah. And obviously schedule depending. I mean, if you have a 9 to 5 and you can't price once a week, or you're just busy with your family and your job or whatever it is, get it out when you can, obviously. 1 week's most ideal. Every 2 weeks is still fine. I even know people who send 20,000 in one mailer once a month and they manage to be extremely profitable. So style with that matter. The whole point, my whole point is getting it out on a schedule and sticking to that schedule. But let's go over. Okay. So we talked about beginner being around 3,000. I'd say, what do you think intermediate and expert would be then? If the beginner, we recommend sending about 3 to 4, maybe 5,000. 5,000 is maybe even intermediate at that point. But what's your opinion on that?
So you mean like not from the start, like after a few months of doing the business, like they want to start?
So let's say we break it down into 3 categories: beginner, intermediate, and expert. How would you break those down?
Yeah, I mean, I think we said that kind of if you're first starting, that expert or that high end is 10 to 12. But let's say you're 6 months into the business, Daniel, and you want to kind of scale. Like I still think that beginner's 3,000 to 5,000. I think that intermediate might be 5 to 10, and then I think that expert is 10 to 15. I mean, 10 plus,
10 plus,
maybe even 15 plus is kind of that expert. And you're going to get a lot. You need systems in place, like we've really touched on a lot. You're starting getting that expert range. You need systems. 3 to 5, you can still do things on Excel. You could answer phone calls if you want. You could send them the voicemail and have them call them back. 5 to 10, you might start needing an answering service, especially if you have a 9 to 5 job or a W-2 job. You're probably going to need an answering service. 10 to 15, even if you're working full time on this, it breaks up your day. And Daniel can talk about this more. It breaks up your day so much if you're answering the phone yourself, because it's 10 minutes on, then answer a phone, and then 30 minutes, no calls, and then you answer a phone. And it's just nonstop. Opposed to if you have an answering service, we'll probably have a podcast in itself on this, but if you have an answering service, you can choose like at 2 p.m., I'm going to call back all the morning calls. At 6 p.m., I'm going to call back all the afternoon calls. And then you can, it's so much more time efficient. But that 10 to 15, that expert range, you need to have systems in place. You probably can do it yourself, and we see people do it themselves, but you need, as far maybe a VA or something like that, you need it. The big thing is the systems, I think.
Right. And it's changing. I mean, 10,000, we were answering phone calls ourselves off 10,000 for quite some time, but we were both doing this full time. Once you hit 15,000 plus, though, everything just exponentially grows. It gets crazy. We get a lot of calls, a lot of hate calls, a lot of good calls, a lot of deals. You don't want to miss out on those deals. So grow gradually, stay consistent. That's really the 2 keys here. send 5,000. If you've never sent mailer, go for it. Send 5,000. That's my recommendation. Follow our course, send 5,000 mailers, and I think good things will come to you.
I agree. I think that was really good and helpful, and hopefully you guys can follow that advice. I just keep beating on that consistency part.
Yeah, I'm curious to see everyone else's thoughts on this. Comment. The easiest way to get a hold of us is commenting on our YouTube channel and let us know your thoughts, or you can join our Discord and let us know in person. Ron and I are very involved in that Discord. Visit landinvestingonline.com to join. Say hi once you get into our Discord. It's free. There's a free Discord, and then the members get a paid Discord, but there's a ton of successful investors in there. Visit landinvestingonline.com. Other than that, guys, thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.